Macmillan Audio presents The Comedown by Rafael Frumkin, read for you by Kevin R. Free. The story reveals the meaning of what otherwise would remain an unbearable sequence of sheer happenings. Hannah Arendt. Shit happens. Anonymous. Part 1. Prologue. May 8th, 1999. Of those who've shut their eyes to the world with few or no regrets, it can be said both that their number is small and that Leland Bloom-Mittwoch Sr. was not among them. At 4 in the morning on the 54th birthday he would have shared with his best friend Reggie Marshall, Leland Sr. arrived in Tampa looking for a hotel. It didn't take him long to find one, the bright lobby of which wore several dark stories like a tall hat. From the road, it had reminded him of a picture book of his youngest son's, in which all the buildings had faces and spoke to one another. He liked that book, so he pulled in, parked, and removed his briefcase from the trunk. The kid at the front desk looked barely 18. She was rubbing the sleep from her eyes. He nodded at her with his best pitying face, set his briefcase on the counter, and asked if he could be shown a room. "Yes, you can," she said, sounding obviously dissatisfied with her station in a way he himself had once been. She clicked around aimlessly on her computer, and the machine made a sound like small waves crashing. "I have 4 rooms available right now, all on the 4th floor. "Does that floor have roof access?" She looked both bored and confused by the question. "Yes, sir. Access to the roof is granted to any guest with a key." She turned her attention to a little machine by the computer. Leland Sr. made sure he wore an expression he hoped reflected what a big-hearted mensch he was. She produced a key and handed it to him. "And now you've got a key. Your room number is 402. Do you need anything else, sir?" He took the key from her gently and shook his head. "No, thank you." Then he held it up next to his face and waggled it a little. "And thank you." Room 402 was well appointed. A single queen bed, a desk, a lowboy on top of which was perched a nice-looking TV. He turned on the TV and stopped on the station where a soothing female voice recited facts about the hotel as they appeared on the screen. Then he opened his briefcase. Emptied completely of the money, it felt lighter in every sense. Its only contents now were his study Torah and the last 20 bag he'd ever buy. He keyed out a bump, inhaled deeply, and exhaled. It could have been better, that was true, but he was the beggar and not the chooser in this situation. He poured about half the bag onto the mahogany desktop and cut it up with his credit card. His blood, sludgy from the long drive, had begun to flow, and his mind was restored to full operating capacity. Even room 402's many shades of beige looked brighter. Outside, he could see the electric pinks and reds of a sunrise. Now was probably the time, he thought to himself, if ever there was one. He railed the rest, grabbed his Torah, and, his blood pumping, climbed the stairs to the 8th floor. The door to the roof opened with a smooth click. He'd hoped for more fanfare, or at least more resistance. When he thought about this moment on his drive to Tampa, he'd imagined something special would happen to mark the occasion. He'd fantasized about getting into a fight with a bellboy, knocking over a food cart and then beating it down the hall while someone screamed, "Call security!" But that was foolish. He didn't live in an action movie. God didn't live in an action movie. Moses could never have imagined a copy of his words would wind up on the roof of a Hyatt Regency in downtown Tampa so many thousands of years after he'd written them. And that they had was just...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?